The horrors of medieval dentistry. To all those brave souls who faced medieval dentistry with a fortitude that would make a modern day root canal seem like a pleasant afternoon tea, your suffering, though undoubtedly excruciating, provides a darkly comedic backdrop against which we can appreciate the wonders of modern anesthetic. This book is dedicated to you, the unsung heroes of pre-Novocain procedures. Your grit, your resilience, your sheer unadulterated pain tolerance inspire awe, if not a certain morbid fascination. We owe you a debt of gratitude, a debt which can only be repaid in the form of historical documentation and perhaps a slightly macabre chuckle. Your experiences, while horrifically documented in the dusty tomes of history, serve as a cautionary tale, reminding us to cherish the sterile environment and numbing injections that our modern dental practices offer. Imagine, if you will, the agony of a medieval tooth extraction, the rusty forceps, the lack of even the most basic sterilization, the pungent aroma of boiling vinegar, presumably intended as a miracle cure. We marvel at your stoicism, though we wouldn't trade places with you for all the gold fillings in Christendom. This dedication is not only to those who endured the pain, but also to the practitioners of the time, the barber surgeons, the apothecaries, those who wielded rusty tools with the confidence of a seasoned surgeon, though their confidence greatly outweighed their skill. Their methods might seem barbaric by today's standards, yet their unwavering dedication to something anyway cannot be denied. So, raise a glass of something strong, perhaps, to the medieval dental experience, a testament to human endurance and a constant reminder of just how far we've come in the world of oral hygiene. May your teeth, dear reader, forever remain free from the horrors of the past. Chapter 1: The Tools of the Trade and Torture. Let's delve into the fascinating and frankly terrifying world of medieval dental implements. Forget your gleaming sterilized dental drills and soothing nitrous oxide. The medieval dentist's toolkit was a collection of instruments that would make even the most seasoned horror fan wince. Imagine a world where a simple toothache could be the prelude to a level of pain that defies modern comprehension. First, let's talk about the pliers. These weren't your delicate orthodontic tweezers. We're talking about robust, often rusty, metal instruments, more akin to blacksmith's tools than anything remotely resembling modern dental equipment. Picture heavy-duty, often crudely fashioned forceps, designed more for brute force extraction than precision. These weren't sterilized. They were likely passed from patient to patient with a casual disregard for hygiene that would send modern dentists into apoplectic fits. The sheer size and heft of some of these instruments speak volumes about the approach to dental work. If it didn't come out easily, more force was applied, with predictably disastrous results. Historical illustrations often depict these instruments as brutally simple, their jaws often uneven, guaranteeing a painful and potentially damaging extraction process. The imagery of a medieval dentist wrestling with a patient's jaw, employing leverage and sheer force rather than any finesse, conjures up a scene of pure medieval mayhem. Then there are the chisels. Yes, chisels. These weren't used for delicate sculpting. These were blunt instruments intended to chip away at teeth and bone. Imagine the sheer agony of having a chunk of your jaw hacked away to alleviate a toothache. The lack of any form of anesthesia would have made this an ordeal that would test the limits of human endurance. The descriptions found in medieval medical texts often lack the graphic detail we might expect, but the underlying implication of pain is inescapable. We can only imagine the screams echoing through the rudimentary surgery rooms, the smell of blood and sweat mingling with the stench of unwashed instruments. Furthermore, the thought of a potentially fractured jaw or permanently damaged gums following this brutal procedure adds another layer to the horror. Beyond the metal implements, we must consider the anesthetics of the time. The concept of pain relief, as we understand it today, was utterly foreign. Forget the gentle numbing of Novocain. Medieval dentistry relied on a combination of potent herbs, often mixed with ingredients that by modern standards would be considered frankly ludicrous and potentially lethal. One popular concoction involved a mixture of strong herbs like henbane and mandrake, known for their hallucinogenic and narcotic properties. However, the effectiveness of such anesthesia was at best questionable. While it might have dulled the immediate sensation, it likely contributed to post-operative delirium, disorientation, and potentially a heightened susceptibility to infection. We mustn't forget the miracle cures that involved direct application of scalding liquids to the affected area. Boiling oil, vinegar, and even hot coals were applied to the gums as a means of cauterization. Picture the immediate searing pain, followed by the agonizing burn and the agonizing infection that undoubtedly followed this horrific treatment. The rationale behind these approaches is not entirely clear. Perhaps a bizarre mixture of superstition, the belief that intense heat could somehow sterilize the area, and a complete lack of understanding of basic anatomy and hygiene. The sheer audacity of such treatments is baffling, a testament to the primitive state of medical knowledge in the era. Now let's discuss the lack of sterilization. Imagine a world without the concept of sterile instruments. Tools used on one patient were invariably reused on the next, transferring bacteria and infections with a terrifying efficiency. This resulted in a cascade of secondary infections, making even the most minor dental procedure potentially lethal. The rampant spread of diseases like tetanus, gangrene, and various forms of septicemia was in no small part due to the appallingly unhygienic practices of medieval dentistry. Furthermore, the overall understanding of dental anatomy and physiology was rudimentary at best. The idea of cavities as a result of bacteria was completely unknown. Instead, imbalances of humors, demonic possession, or punishment from the divine were often cited as the causes of dental problems. This bizarre combination of ignorance and superstition led to treatments that were not only ineffective, but also actively harmful. The tools of medieval dentistry weren't just instruments, they were instruments of torture, inflicting pain beyond imagination, often leading to infections and ultimately death. This stark contrast to our modern approach highlights the incredible advances in dental care, a progress that's easily overlooked in our modern era of almost painless procedures and high-tech equipment. Yet, the legacy of those medieval tools serves as a grim reminder of how far we've come and how fortunate we are to live in a time when a trip to the dentist doesn't feel like a walk into a medieval torture chamber. Beyond the primary instruments, we should also consider the ancillary materials utilized in medieval dentistry. The application of poultices, often made from questionable ingredients and left to fester, further complicated the situation. These concoctions were believed to possess magical or healing properties, adding to the chaotic and often nonsensical nature of medieval dental practices. The variety of herbs, spices, and other substances used in these poultices further underscored the era's profound lack of understanding of human physiology. There are instances documented in medieval medical texts describing the use of leeches to draw out supposed bad humors from the gums. The image of wriggling leeches clinging to a bleeding gum is certainly enough to send shivers down the spine of the most stoic modern individual. This treatment, far from providing relief, almost certainly introduced further infection and pain. Let's not forget the role of superstition. The timing of dental procedures was often dictated by astrological charts and beliefs in the moon's influence. A full moon extraction might sound like a quirky detail, but it reveals the pervasive influence of superstition on medieval medical practice. The idea that the moon somehow controlled the tides of the body, impacting both blood flow and the success of a procedure, is a testament to the pervasive belief system. These superstitions, combined with a lack of scientific understanding, meant that dental treatments were often not only brutal, but also entirely ineffective. The medieval dental experience wasn't just about the tools, it was about the entire context. The lack of basic hygiene, the belief in supernatural causes, and the brutal application of remedies all contributed to a level of suffering unimaginable to the modern patient. This understanding of the tools isn't simply about rusty pliers and chisels. It's about understanding a complete lack of understanding, a brutal, often fatal, ignorance in the face of pain and disease. And that, perhaps, is the most gruesome aspect of all. The sheer lack of even a basic understanding of germ theory and basic infection control paints a picture of a medical landscape far removed from the highly sophisticated and sterile field of dentistry we know to today. This juxtaposition between the crude instruments and the sophisticated technology is what makes the exploration of medieval dentistry so both horrifying and fascinating. The tools themselves were barbaric enough, but the utter lack of effective anesthesia makes the whole enterprise even more horrifying. Forget the gentle hum of a dental drill and the comforting numbness of Novocain. The medieval patient faced agony of a scale almost impossible for us to fully grasp. Their anesthetics were a bizarre mix of potent herbs, often combined with substances that today would be considered not only ineffective, but actively dangerous. One can almost smell the noxious fumes emanating from these concoctions, a miasma of desperation and misplaced hope. Let's consider the herbal remedies. Henbane, a member of the nightshade family, was a popular ingredient. Known for its potent hallucinogenic and deliriant properties, henbane could induce a state of stupor, potentially lessening the immediate sensation of pain. However, the effect was far from reliable and came with a host of unpleasant side effects, including blurred vision, delirium, hallucinations, paralysis, and even death. Imagine the unfortunate patient, already in the throes of excruciating dental pain, now struggling with terrifying visions as the dentist wrestled with their teeth. Then there's mandrake, another notorious ingredient in medieval anesthetic concoctions. This plant, with its vaguely humanoid root, was steeped in myth and superstition. Its powerful narcotic properties could induce a state of unconsciousness, but it was a dangerous game, akin to walking a tightrope between oblivion and death. The dosage was crucial, and a slight miscalculation could easily tip the scales toward fatal respiratory depression. The risks involved in using mandrake, given the rudimentary knowledge of pharmacology, were staggering. The medieval world also utilized opium, though less frequently in dental procedures than other remedies. While opium could provide effective pain relief, its availability and accessibility were limited. The potential for addiction and respiratory complications rendered its use a high stakes gamble. Its use was likely reserved for situations of extreme pain or for patients deemed to be particularly sensitive to the suffering of extraction. But perhaps the most stomach churning aspect of medieval anesthesia was the direct application of burning substances to the gums. The sheer audacity of these methods is astonishing. Boiling oil, vinegar, and even hot coals were directly applied to the affected area. The immediate searing pain must have been intense, followed by the agonizing burn and the almost inevitable infection that resulted from such brutal cauterization. These treatments defy modern comprehension. What possible rationale could have driven such practices? Perhaps a belief that intense heat somehow sterilized the area, a desperate attempt to counteract the ubiquitous infections through sheer brutality. The application of these substances was also influenced by the prevailing medical theories of the time. The four humors, blood, phlegm, yellow bile, and black bile, were believed to govern a person's health. An imbalance in these humors was often cited as the cause of illness, including dental problems. The remedies were often aimed at restoring this balance, even if the methods were as extreme as applying burning liquids to the gums. The logic may seem baffling today, but in the context of the time, it represented a coherent, though tragically misguided approach to treatment. The lack of any understanding of germ theory exacerbated the problem. The tools were not sterilized. They were likely passed from patient to patient, spreading infections with terrifying efficiency. Imagine the cascade of secondary infections that resulted: tetanus, gangrene, septicemia. The list of potential complications is both lengthy and horrifying. These infections frequently proved fatal, transforming a simple toothache into a deadly ordeal. The death rate from simple dental extractions must have been appalling. Many patients likely died not from the extraction itself, but from the subsequent infections. Furthermore, the aftercare was just as primitive and often counterproductive. Poultices, often made from questionable ingredients and left to fester, were applied to the wound. These concoctions, far from promoting healing, likely introduced more bacteria and exacerbated the inflammation. The variety of ingredients added to the poultices further demonstrates the lack of scientific knowledge. The sheer ineffectiveness of these practices, combined with the potential to cause significant harm through the introduction of more pathogens, would be utterly appalling by modern standards. Medieval medical texts occasionally mention the use of leeches to draw out bad humors from the gums. The image alone is enough to induce nausea in a modern reader. While leeches do have some anticoagulant properties, their use in dentistry was far more likely to introduce infection than to provide any therapeutic benefit. The sight of leeches clinging to bleeding gums is simply grotesque and serves as a stark reminder of the primitive medical practices of the time. Even the timing of dental procedures was dictated by superstition. The belief in the moon's influence on bodily fluids led to the practice of full moon extractions. The moon was believed to affect the tides of the body, affecting blood flow and the success of the procedure. This belief, while completely unfounded from a scientific perspective, highlights the profound role of superstition in medieval medical practices. The anesthetics of medieval dentistry were not just ineffective, they were often actively harmful. They represented a stark contrast to the sophisticated pain management techniques available today. The juxtaposition of these crude and often dangerous remedies with the advanced methods of modern dentistry serves as a potent reminder of the extraordinary progress made in medical science. The medieval experience serves as a cautionary tale of the consequences of ignorance, superstition, and a complete lack of understanding of basic hygiene and human physiology. The medieval dentist was not a healer. They were more akin to a torturer, inflicting unimaginable pain under the guise of medical practice. The sheer audacity of the treatments is as terrifying as the pain they inflicted. The efficacy of medieval anesthesia was, to put it mildly, questionable, but the procedures themselves weren't solely dictated by a lack of pharmacological understanding. A potent cocktail of superstition and astrological belief heavily influenced when, where, and how these dental treatments were performed. The celestial bodies held sway over more than just the tides. They dictated the flow of bodily humors, the very essence of medieval medical theory. And what better time to wrestle with a screaming patient's teeth than when the moon, that celestial mistress of humors, was at its fullest? The full moon extraction, a practice steeped in the belief that the moon's gravitational pull influenced bodily fluids, is a prime example of this celestial influence on medieval dentistry. The logic, if one can call it that, went something like this. The moon affects the tides, therefore it affects the blood, and therefore it affects the ease and success of a tooth extraction. Imagine the scene. A patient, already terrified by the prospect of having their teeth yanked out with rusty pliers, now subjected to the added anxiety of waiting for the precise astrological moment. The dentist, perhaps consulting a hastily scribbled astrological chart, might delay the procedure for days, leading to increased inflammation and infection, all in the name of lunar alignment. The irony, of course, is deliciously dark. The patient likely suffered far more from the delay than they would have from a timely, albeit still excruciating, extraction. This belief wasn't isolated. It was part of a broader web of astrological influences that permeated medieval medical practices. The positions of the planets, the phases of the moon, all were believed to impact the success of a treatment. A certain planetary alignment might be considered auspicious for a procedure, while others might be deemed calamitous. The dentist, therefore, might not only be a skilled or unskilled manipulator of pliers, but also a keen observer of the heavens, constantly consulting astrological charts to determine the optimal time for extracting teeth. One can picture them huddled over a star chart, muttering incantations and calculating the precise moment when the alignment of Mars and Jupiter would bestow good fortune upon their upcoming extraction. The image is almost comical in its absurdity, were it not for the agonizing reality of the procedure itself. Beyond astrology, other superstitions played a significant role. Certain herbs were believed to possess magical properties beyond their medicinal value. Mandrake, for instance, was not only a potent anesthetic, in theory, but also a powerful charm against evil spirits. Perhaps the belief that mandrake could ward off demons and bad luck during a dental extraction added a layer of comfort to the otherwise terrifying ordeal. Or perhaps it was simply an attempt to distract both the patient and the dentist from the brutal reality of the situation. Either way, the use of mandrake, imbued with both medicinal and magical properties, perfectly encapsulates the mystical underpinnings of medieval dental practices. The application of cures was often accompanied by rituals and incantations, further blurring the lines between medicine and magic. These rituals, passed down through generations, represented a complex interplay of faith, superstition, and the desperate hope for relief from pain. Imagine the dentist muttering ancient words while simultaneously applying a poultice of questionable ingredients and praying to the appropriate saints for success. The scene would have been a disturbing blend of medieval faith, fear, and pain. Amulets and charms were also common. Patients might wear them during the procedure, believing they would protect them from harm or guarantee a successful outcome. These amulets were often adorned with religious symbols or images of protective deities, adding a layer of spiritual fortification to what was already a precarious situation. The combination of these ritualistic and superstitious practices created a strange and often chaotic atmosphere as patients desperately clung to faith and superstition in the face of intense pain. This belief in the power of ritual and superstition extended beyond the procedure itself. Aftercare often involved a bewildering array of superstitious practices. Specific prayers might be recited, or particular herbs burned to ward off infection or ensure proper healing. The juxtaposition of these superstitious acts with the primitive medical practices highlights the prevailing belief that the intervention of the supernatural was just as crucial as the medical approach, if not more so. Comparing these medieval beliefs to modern dental practices illuminates a stark contrast. Modern dentistry is founded upon scientific principles, evidence-based practices, and the rigorous application of sterile techniques. While some patients might still experience anxiety, the absence of superstition, astrology, and the sheer brutality of medieval dentistry leaves us with a stark reminder of the advancements made in the field. We've moved from boiling oil and lunar cycles to advanced imaging and laser treatments. The medieval perspective on dental care stands as a fascinating and horrifying case study in the intersection of medical practice, superstition, and the enduring human struggle against pain. The beliefs, the practices, and the tools employed paint a vivid picture of a time when a simple toothache could be a journey into a world of unimaginable suffering, where celestial alignment held as much sway over the outcome as any actual medical intervention. The dark humor lies not in the suffering endured, but in the sheer, almost comedic absurdity of the attempts to alleviate it. The stark juxtaposition of these practices with the sterile, scientific world of modern dentistry is not just a testament to medical progress, but also a grim, yet oddly compelling, reflection of the human condition and our ongoing struggle to conquer pain and suffering. And in reflecting on the past, we should perhaps offer a silent thank you to modern anesthetics and the absence of the full moon extraction. Let's delve into the grim reality of medieval dental suffering through the lens of a few unfortunate souls whose stories, while lacking names, offer a chilling glimpse into the era. These aren't neatly documented case studies in the modern sense. Rather, they're fragments pieced together from scattered records, a mention in a monastic chronicle, a terse entry in a court record, a cryptic passage in a medical text. These are whispers from the past, each one a testament to the brutal intersection of medieval dentistry and unbearable pain. Imagine, if you will, a peasant woman, her face contorted in agony, clutching her jaw. A tooth, decayed beyond salvation, throbs with a relentless pain that permeates her very being. Her options are limited to a village barber surgeon, a jack of all trades whose medical knowledge is as patchy as his understanding of hygiene. The tools of his trade are rudimentary at best: rusty pliers, perhaps a crude chisel, certainly no anesthetic beyond a strong ale if he's feeling generous, or perhaps the patient has enough coin to afford a mild sedative. The extraction itself is a barbaric spectacle, a brief but violent struggle between agonizing pain and desperate survival. The absence of antiseptic methods means infection is almost guaranteed, prolonging her suffering and potentially leading to an even more ghastly fate: abscesses, fever, and eventually death. Her social standing, that of a lowly peasant, meant limited access to any care, leaving her at the mercy of rudimentary methods and an even more rudimentary understanding of the human body. Her tale, while tragically common, serves as a stark reminder of the inequalities in medieval healthcare. Contrast this peasant woman's experience with that of a wealthy noblewoman. While she might have access to a more sophisticated practitioner, perhaps even a physician who dabbled in dentistry, the fundamental lack of understanding about dental health remains. Her suffering may be slightly more refined, perhaps involving more elaborate, though equally ineffective, remedies. We might imagine her being treated with poultices of questionable herbs, or having her afflicted tooth cauterized with a hot iron, a procedure that would certainly sear the flesh and cause immense pain, but not necessarily cure the underlying problem. However, even her privilege couldn't completely shield her from the inherent dangers of medieval dental practices. The risk of infection remained, and the lack of effective pain management meant excruciating agony, regardless of one's social status. Her post-operative care might involve elaborate rituals, the application of amulets, incantations whispered by a local healer, or the observance of astrological alignments. These might offer psychological comfort, but they offered no actual relief from the throbbing pain and the ever-present threat of infection. Now consider the plight of a young man, a journeyman blacksmith, whose teeth have suffered years of damage from his strenuous work. His teeth are worn, broken, and riddled with cavities. He seeks relief from the constant pain, but his financial constraints limit his options. He may have to endure agonizing toothaches, self medicating with whatever herbs he can forage, or with potent spirits in a desperate bid to numb the pain. He may have to resort to the cheapest and often most barbaric treatments available. His experience underscores the fact that dental problems weren't just restricted to the rich or the poor. They affected all segments of medieval society, regardless of their station in life. Each ailment caused by repetitive trauma and lack of hygiene speaks volumes of the living conditions of the day. Moving from the individual to the broader societal level, medieval records, though fragmented, reveal the pervasive impact of dental disease. Court documents occasionally mention disputes over dental injuries sustained in fights or accidents, showing how even seemingly mundane events could have devastating dental consequences. The lack of advanced techniques for repairing damage meant that dental injuries often had long-lasting and debilitating effects. Chronicles sometimes allude to epidemics of oral infections, painting a grim picture of widespread suffering and high mortality rates. Another recurring theme is the prevalence of superstition and ritual in the treatment of dental problems. While modern dentistry relies on scientific principles and evidence-based practices, medieval treatments were heavily influenced by astrology and magical beliefs. The lunar cycle, the alignment of planets, the supposed properties of various herbs, all were believed to play a crucial role in the success or failure of dental procedures. This highlights the limitations of the medical knowledge available at the time, but also the deep-seated belief in supernatural forces that permeated every aspect of medieval life, including the treatment of pain. These beliefs were not simply a matter of faith or tradition. They often dictated the timing and method of treatment, sometimes to the detriment of the patient. The treatment itself was often as terrifying as the ailment. The lack of anesthesia and the crude instruments used created a scenario that would be considered torture by modern standards. We can only imagine the screams of agony that echoed from the barber surgeon's chair, the sight of blood and broken teeth, and the smell of infection that lingered in the air. Even successful extractions, if one could call them that, often resulted in complications such as severe bleeding, infection, and lingering pain. Failure, however, could lead to far more dire consequences, including death from sepsis or other related infections. Furthermore, the lack of proper hygiene and the primitive understanding of infection control meant that the risk of infection was extremely high. The tools used were often shared among multiple patients, increasing the chance of spreading pathogens. The post-operative care was usually minimal, often consisting of simple herbal remedies that did little to prevent or treat infection. Consequently, patients often succumbed to complications of the treatment itself rather than the initial dental problem. Consider the impact of a serious dental infection in the context of a medieval society. The lack of effective antibiotics meant that even a relatively minor infection could quickly turn life-threatening. The possibility of sepsis, the body's overwhelming response to infection, was always a concern. The body's response, once triggered, could lead to organ failure and death. Such an infection could decimate a household, not only due to the loss of a family member, but also through the inability to work, leading to economic hardship and starvation. In comparing the medieval dental landscape to modern practices, the contrast is stark and profoundly enlightening. Today, we have advanced imaging technologies, sophisticated instruments, effective pain management techniques, and a deep understanding of oral hygiene and infection control. The tools and understanding available today are not just an improvement, but a revolution, transforming a once terrifying ordeal into a comparatively straightforward medical procedure. Yet, despite all the advancements, the lingering discomfort of a dental visit remains a testament to the enduring primal fear of pain. The stories from the medieval period serve as a powerful reminder of the incredible progress made in dentistry and more broadly in medicine, but also of the simple human desire for pain free existence, something we still strive for even in this modern era. The enduring fear underscores not just the progress we've made, but the deeply ingrained connection between pain and the very human need to avoid it. We can find both a chilling fascination and a sense of profound relief in the comparison. The dark humor resides in the recognition of how far we've come and the silent gratitude we can offer for the anesthesia cartridge and the sterile environment of a modern dental practice. The connection between a seemingly simple toothache and a life threatening illness in the Middle Ages was far more direct and deadly than it is today. Poor dental hygiene, coupled with a complete lack of understanding of germ theory, created a perfect storm of infection. A decaying tooth wasn't just a source of localized pain, it was a potential gateway to a systemic infection that could overwhelm the body. The mouth, teeming with bacteria, was a breeding ground for pathogens that could easily enter the bloodstream through inflamed gums or damaged tissues. This is a far cry from the sterile environments and sophisticated procedures of modern dentistry. Imagine the scenario: a peasant, suffering from a persistent toothache, finally succumbs to the pain and attempts a crude home remedy. Perhaps they try to alleviate the pain by applying a poultice of questionable herbs, or worse, using a sharp object to try and remove the offending tooth themselves. Such acts, performed in unhygienic conditions, increase the risk of infection exponentially. A minor cut or scrape in the gum line offers direct access for bacteria to enter the bloodstream, traveling through the circulatory system and potentially causing sepsis. Sepsis, a life threatening condition resulting from the body's overwhelming response to infection, was a significant killer in the medieval period. The immune system, struggling to combat the invading pathogens, could trigger a cascade of reactions leading to organ failure and death. Unlike today, where rapid antibiotic treatment can often combat sepsis effectively, medieval individuals had no such recourse. Their bodies, often already weakened by malnutrition and poor sanitation, were ill equipped to fight off a severe systemic infection triggered by a seemingly insignificant dental problem. The relationship between gum disease and overall health was, of course, unknown in the medieval period. However, we know today that periodontal disease, or gum disease, is strongly linked to increased risk of heart disease, stroke, and other chronic illnesses. In the Middle Ages, with a lack of understanding of this connection, patients suffering from chronic gum disease would likely have experienced a wide array of debilitating symptoms, often misattributed to other causes. Weakness, fatigue, and general malaise, all commonly associated with advanced gum disease, would have further compromised their ability to fight off secondary infections. The lack of effective treatment for dental problems directly contributed to high mortality rates associated with seemingly minor dental injuries. A simple tooth extraction performed with rusty tools in unsanitary conditions could easily lead to a fatal infection. The absence of anesthesia meant the procedures were excruciatingly painful, and any post-operative care was rudimentary at best. The risk of hemorrhage was significant, often compounded by the absence of knowledge regarding blood clotting mechanisms. The wounds were essentially left to heal by themselves, a process that in many cases was interrupted by a subsequent infection. While precise statistical data on medieval dental-related deaths is scarce, scattered accounts from historical records hint at the significant impact of oral infections on mortality rates. Chronicles often mention deaths resulting from fevers, which in many cases might well have been sepsis resulting from untreated dental infections. Similarly, accounts of widespread epidemics often feature descriptions of symptoms consistent with severe oral infections and their systemic complications. Consider the plight of a pregnant woman in the Middle Ages. Her already weakened immune system makes her even more vulnerable to infections, and a simple dental problem could easily become life-threatening. The lack of modern pain management would render childbirth and any accompanying dental issues even more agonizing and dangerous. The risk of death during childbirth was already high, and a concurrent infection of dental origin could easily tip the scales towards a fatal outcome. The death of a mother also often resulted in the death of the infant, compounding the tragedy. The impact of dental-related mortality on medieval society extended far beyond the individual level. The death of a family member, often the primary breadwinner, would have severe economic consequences for the remaining family. The loss of income could lead to starvation and further increase their susceptibility to disease. The absence of social safety nets meant that families were entirely dependent on their ability to work and provide for themselves. A simple toothache, therefore, could have profound ripple effects on the entire community. Looking beyond the individual and family level, we can see how dental-related disease contributed to the widespread morbidity and mortality seen in medieval society. The lack of effective treatment, combined with widespread poverty and poor hygiene conditions, led to a vicious cycle of infection and death. The prevalence of these conditions would have impacted social structures, economic productivity, and even the course of historical events. The bleak reality of medieval dental care stands in stark contrast to the advanced techniques and understanding of modern dentistry. Today, we have access to sophisticated imaging technologies, advanced instruments, effective pain management, and a deep understanding of oral hygiene and infection control. The difference is nothing short of revolutionary. While a trip to the dentist might still be anxiety-inducing for many, The fear of death from a toothache is thankfully a relic of the past. The sheer contrast highlights the remarkable progress in medicine and public health, offering us a darkly comedic appreciation for the advancements that separate our world from the grim realities of the Middle Ages. The story of medieval dentistry isn't merely a historical footnote, it's a powerful reminder of the fragility of life and the enduring human struggle against disease, pain, and death. It's also a testament to the astounding progress made in medical science, a progress that allows us to appreciate the relatively minor inconveniences of a modern dental checkup. Chapter 2: The Barber Surgeon's Bloody Business. The world of medieval dental care wasn't a neatly organized system of specialists. Instead, it was a chaotic blend of roles, where the line between a skilled craftsman and a potential killer was often blurry. The most prominent figures in this macabre tableau were the barber surgeons. These individuals weren't just trimming beards and performing bloodlettings. They were also, by default, the closest thing the medieval populace had to dentists. Their involvement was born out of necessity, a reflection of the era's lack of medical specialization. In a time when the concept of distinct medical professions was still in its infancy, the barber surgeon was a jack of all trades, often forced to handle everything from a simple wound to a gruesome extraction, with varying degrees of success and often more failure. The training of a barber surgeon was far from the rigorous scientific curriculum of today's medical professionals. Apprenticeships were the primary method of instruction, with young boys learning the trade from established practitioners through a hands-on, trial-by-fire approach. The emphasis wasn't on scientific understanding of anatomy or pathology, but rather on rote learning of procedures and remedies handed down through generations, many of them utterly ineffective or downright dangerous. Imagine learning to extract a tooth not from textbooks and anatomical models, but by observing your master wrestling with a screaming patient and a rusty pair of pliers. The curriculum included a mix of practical skills, shaving, bloodletting, wound dressing, and a smattering of herbal remedies, the efficacy of which varied wildly depending on the practitioner's knowledge, or lack thereof, and the whims of the ailment. The tools of the barber surgeon's trade were, to put it mildly, rudimentary. Forget the gleaming stainless steel and precision instruments of the modern dental office. The medieval equivalents were often crude, unsanitized, and frequently reused. Their dental kit might have included a variety of pliers, some designed for gripping and pulling, others for crushing and breaking. These weren't delicate surgical instruments. They were essentially heavy-duty metal implements, capable of inflicting serious damage beyond the mere extraction of a tooth. The instruments themselves were often made of unrefined metals, prone to rust and harboring a wealth of bacteria and pathogens. The concept of sterilization was alien to them. The reuse of tools without any cleaning or disinfecting process meant each patient faced a heightened risk of infection. Beyond the pliers, barber surgeons might employ chisels and mallets for stubborn teeth, adding a particularly brutal element to the procedure. Think of it like a medieval demolition crew tackling a particularly resistant molar. The lack of anesthesia meant the procedure was excruciatingly painful, forcing patients to endure the ordeal with only their grit and the occasional herbal poultice, likely ineffective, and possibly irritating. The post-operative care was equally dismal. Basic wound dressings were the norm, and even these were often applied in a manner that invited further complications. The concept of antibiotics, of course, was centuries away, leaving patients vulnerable to the full force of any ensuing infection. In addition to the barber surgeons, other individuals might have attempted dental treatment. Traveling tooth drawers, often charlatans, would wander from town to town, offering their dubious services. Their skills and hygiene practices were frequently even less reliable than those of the barber surgeons. It's a safe bet that their approach was generally more brutal and less knowledgeable, often employing methods designed more for swift action than patient well being. These itinerant practitioners provided a further layer of unpredictability and risk to medieval dental care. Their expertise, or rather lack thereof, was purely a matter of chance. A patient could end up either slightly worse for wear or horribly mutilated. The risk-reward ratio leaned heavily toward the latter. The stark contrast between the medieval scene and modern dentistry is a testament to the remarkable progress of medical science. Today, dental practices are highly specialized. We have orthodontists for straightening teeth, periodontists for gum disease, endodontists for root canals, oral surgeons for extractions and complex procedures, and prosthodontists for replacing missing teeth. Each specialist possesses years of rigorous training and expertise in their specific area, ensuring that patients receive the most appropriate and effective care. The tools and techniques are vastly different too. Sophisticated imaging technologies allow for precise diagnoses, while advanced instruments ensure minimally invasive and efficient procedures. Anesthesia eliminates pain, and strict sterilization protocols drastically reduce the risk of infection. The contrast is not simply a difference in technology, it represents a fundamental shift in medical understanding and practice. The medieval approach was a trial by fire, a gamble with life and limb, whereas modern dentistry prioritizes safety, effectiveness, and patient comfort. The multifaceted nature of medieval dental care highlights not just the limitations of medical knowledge, but also the lack of specialization. In the absence of a dedicated profession, the barber surgeon, the traveling tooth drawer, and perhaps even the village wise woman or blacksmith all played a part in addressing dental problems. The methods were barbaric, the success rates were abysmal, and the risks were profound. This lack of specialized training is in direct contrast to the highly specialized world of modern dentistry, which is a testament to centuries of advancements in medical science, hygiene, and surgical techniques. While a visit to the modern dentist might still be a somewhat unpleasant experience, it's a far cry from the medieval ordeal of facing a rusty pair of pliers and a complete lack of pain relief in the hands of a relatively untrained practitioner. The comparison serves as a grim yet darkly amusing reminder of how far we've come in our battle against pain and infection. It's a story that combines the macabre with the miraculous, a tale of progress achieved amidst the shadows of a brutally unsanitary past, and it reminds us to appreciate even the most mundane advancements in modern healthcare. After all, even a mildly irritating root canal is a preferable alternative to a medieval tooth extraction. Let's delve into the agonizing reality of medieval tooth extractions, a performance that would make even the most seasoned horror aficionado wince. Forget the gentle hum of the drill and the comforting presence of a hygienist. Medieval dentistry was a blood-soaked spectacle, a macabre ballet of pain and questionable technique. The setting, typically a dimly lit barber surgeon's shop, reeked of unwashed tools, stale herbs, and the ever-present metallic tang of blood. The process began with the patient, likely already trembling with fear and the throbbing agony of a raging toothache, being firmly seated. There was no such thing as a reclining chair or a comforting blanket. Instead, the unfortunate individual often found themselves perched precariously on a stool, bracing themselves for the inevitable. The dentist, a barber surgeon with hands more accustomed to wielding razors than surgical instruments, would then assess the situation with the clinical expertise of a butcher eyeing a particularly stubborn joint. The tools of this gruesome trade were hardly sophisticated. Imagine a rusty pair of pliers, more akin to blacksmith's tongs than precision instruments, their jaws designed to clamp down on human teeth with the grace of a rusty bear trap. These weren't sterilized, of course. The concept of asepsis was centuries in the future. Each instrument carried a legacy of previous procedures, a bacterial cocktail of unimaginable proportions, generously shared amongst patients. For particularly stubborn teeth, the barber surgeon might escalate to a chisel and mallet, a truly brutal approach that transformed the extraction into something akin to a medieval demolition derby, targeting a molar as if it were a particularly tenacious rock in a road. Now, let's address the elephant in the room, or rather, the elephant in the medieval surgery: anesthesia. It simply didn't exist. The only thing mitigating the pain was the patient's own fortitude, possibly supplemented by a herbal poultice, the effectiveness of which varied wildly depending on its ingredients and the barber surgeon's knowledge, or lack thereof. Some accounts mention the use of mandrake root, notorious for its hallucinogenic properties. Whether this provided any actual pain relief or merely added a layer of delirious terror to the experience remains a matter of debate, but one can safely assume neither outcome was particularly desirable. The extraction itself was a brutal, often protracted affair. The barber surgeon, with a grip that would make a vice jealous, would clamp the pliers onto the offending tooth and heave. The sound of tearing ligaments and cracking bone would likely be accompanied by the patient's screams, which were probably drowned out by the general cacophony of the shop. If the tooth didn't budge easily, the chisel and mallet made their horrifying appearance, transforming the extraction into a scene reminiscent of a medieval torture chamber rather than a medical procedure. The spectacle often ended with the tooth, or what remained of it, being yanked free, leaving behind a gaping hole in the patient's gum, often bleeding profusely. The post-operative care was as rudimentary as the procedure itself. A basic wound dressing, probably consisting of nothing more sophisticated than a piece of cloth and some herbs, again of questionable efficacy, was applied with about as much care as one might use when wrapping up a package of particularly pungent cheese. The infection rate was staggeringly high, given the unsanitary conditions and the lack of antibiotics. A simple tooth extraction could easily become a death sentence, with patients succumbing to sepsis, tetanus, or any number of other gruesome infections. The medieval era was a time when even the smallest medical intervention carried an enormous risk of fatal consequences, and dental procedures were particularly treacherous. Beyond the barber surgeons, there were other players in this medieval dental horror show. The traveling tooth drawers. These itinerant practitioners, often little more than traveling charlatans, roamed the countryside, offering their dubious services to anyone desperate enough to seek their help. Their methods were even more crude and unsanitary than those of the barber surgeons, and their success rate was even lower. Imagine a greasy, itinerant figure with a battered kit containing rusty tools and questionable remedies, offering their services amidst a crowd of onlookers. Their approach is likely to cause further damage as to provide any actual relief. These were the individuals who truly embraced the buyer beware philosophy of medieval healthcare. It wasn't just the tools and techniques. The beliefs surrounding dental procedures added another layer of absurdity to the already horrific picture. The phases of the moon, for instance, were believed to influence the success or failure of extractions. Extractions performed during a full moon were purported to heal faster, creating a perverse incentive to time these barbaric procedures according to astronomical calendars. This belief, alongside a host of other unfounded remedies and practices, underscores the primitive state of medieval medical knowledge. Faith in mystical powers and superstitions often outweighed any actual understanding of anatomy or physiology, resulting in a cocktail of bizarre and ineffective treatments. The sheer audacity of attempting such procedures without any form of pain relief or sterilization is enough to send shivers down the spine of any modern observer. The level of pain experienced by patients must have been unimaginable to anyone accustomed to the relatively painless and sterile procedures of modern dentistry. The stark contrast between then and now is a powerful reminder of how far medical science has advanced and how fortunate we are to live in a time when a simple tooth extraction is not a life-threatening ordeal. Consider for a moment the modern equivalent. You book an appointment, arrive at a clean, well-lit office, the air filled with the comforting aroma of sterilization. The dentist, clad in sterile gear, numbs your area with a local anesthetic before carefully removing the tooth with precision instruments. The entire experience, while not exactly pleasant, is efficient, relatively painless, and importantly, safe. The sterile environment minimizes the risk of infection, and the post-operative care is straightforward, minimizing the chance of complications. The contrast between the two experiences is night and day, showcasing the vast progress made in medical science and dental techniques. The evolution of dentistry from the medieval horror show to the relatively sophisticated practice we know today is a testament to the power of scientific advancement and medical innovation. While a trip to the dentist might still induce mild anxiety in some, it's a far cry from the terrifying ordeal faced by our medieval ancestors. The gruesome reality of medieval tooth extractions serves as a morbid yet compelling reminder of how fortunate we are to live in a time where a visit to the dentist is a minor inconvenience rather than a life-threatening risk. So next time you sit in the dentist's chair, Take a moment to appreciate the antiseptic environment, the skilled professional, and the anesthetic, a luxury that would have been utterly unimaginable to our medieval predecessors. And perhaps let out a silent chuckle at the barbarity of it all, a dark humor that only the vast distance of time and medical progress can provide. But the medieval dental horror show didn't end with the gruesome spectacle of tooth extraction. Oh no, the repertoire of treatments extended far beyond the pliers and chisel, delving into a realm of bizarre remedies and superstitious practices that would make even the most seasoned quack blush. Let's explore the fascinating and frankly terrifying world of alternative medieval dental therapies. One of the more unusual approaches involved leeches. Yes, those slimy, blood sucking creatures that are making a surprising comeback in modern medicine, albeit in a far more controlled and sanitary setting, found a place in medieval dental practices. The reasoning behind leech application was, as with much of medieval medicine, delightfully nonsensical. The prevailing belief was that disease resided in bad humors within the body, and leeches, by sucking away blood, were thought to remove these noxious substances. A toothache, therefore, was deemed a sign of an imbalance in these humors, making the application of leeches a logical, in their twisted logic, course of action. Just imagine the scene: a leech wriggling on a patient's gum, slowly extracting blood while the unfortunate individual gritted their teeth, probably less from pain and more from sheer terror and disgust. The effectiveness, needless to say, was nil, but the sheer audacity of the approach is quite something. Then there was the vast and varied world of herbal remedies. From pungent concoctions to suspiciously sweet syrups, the medieval apothecaries' shelves were stocked with a bewildering array of botanical cures, each promising miraculous healing. The ingredients ranged from the mildly unpleasant to the downright bizarre. Imagine a brew simmering on the fire, its aroma a potent mix of herbs, roots, and probably a generous dash of something rather foul. The recipes were passed down through generations, often shrouded in secrecy, adding to their mystique and, ironically, their lack of efficacy. Some of these herbal remedies may have contained ingredients with mild antiseptic properties, but the lack of understanding of dosage and the often impure nature of the ingredients rendered them largely ineffective. The sheer quantity of questionable substances ingested likely contributed more to stomach problems than dental improvements. However, the most fascinating and utterly bewildering aspect of medieval dental care was the heavy reliance on magic and superstition. Charms, incantations, and amulets were commonly used, with the belief that certain words or objects could possess the power to alleviate toothache or even cure other dental ailments. These practices stemmed from a deep-seated belief in the power of the supernatural, where magical forces could overcome the limitations of empirical knowledge. Imagine a patient clutching a charm, muttering an incantation, while simultaneously enduring the pain of an abscessed tooth. The effectiveness, unsurprisingly, was zero. However, these practices highlight the limitations of medical knowledge and the crucial role that superstition played in navigating the uncertainty of illness and pain. Consider, for instance, the role of saints. Certain saints were believed to have particular jurisdiction over ailments. Therefore, prayers to a specific saint, or even the use of relics associated with the saint, would be employed as a treatment approach. Imagine a patient making a pilgrimage to a shrine dedicated to a saint known for healing dental problems, hoping for a miraculous cure. The faith invested in this approach was immense. The lack of physical outcome, however, does not diminish the significance of this belief system within the culture. These weren't just isolated incidents. These practices were widespread and deeply ingrained in the culture. There were detailed instructions on how to craft effective amulets. Chants were carefully constructed to appease the spirits, and herbal remedies were carefully mixed according to traditional recipes. These seemingly irrational practices underscore the lack of understanding about the human body and the causes of disease. The medieval worldview was profoundly different from our own, a system where the natural and the supernatural were intimately intertwined. Furthermore, the sheer number of treatments, each with its own set of convoluted instructions and often contradictory advice, points to the lack of any standardized or effective medical practice. The absence of a scientific methodology led to a chaotic mix of approaches where efficacy was often secondary to the belief system that underpinned the treatment. The patients, understandably, were left to navigate a minefield of options, each with its own potential risks and questionable rewards. The overall situation was chaotic. Imagine a village where every family had their own secret remedy, a complex blend of herbs, chants, and talismans. There was no central authority to regulate or standardize practices, leading to a highly fragmented and inconsistent system of dental care. The sheer absence of effective treatment options meant that people often resorted to desperate measures, seeking help from anyone who promised relief, regardless of their qualifications or expertise. This chaotic landscape underscores the critical need for scientific advancements and a shift away from purely superstitious approaches. However, there's a certain darkly comic element to all this. The absurdity of the remedies, the sheer illogical nature of the belief systems, and the stark contrast to modern dentistry create a morbid fascination. It's a reminder of how far medical science has come, how our understanding of the human body has evolved, and how much we owe to the countless individuals who devoted their lives to the advancement of medical knowledge, even if those advancements often came at the cost of centuries of misguided practices and unnecessary suffering. So, the next time you visit your dentist for a cleaning, consider the rather grim alternative. And while the modern experience might still include a degree of discomfort, the contrast with the medieval reality offers a chilling yet oddly comforting perspective. We've come a long way from boiling oil and leeches. We are spared the horrifying sounds of chisel and mallet on bone, the agonizing lack of anesthesia, and the ever present threat of infection. So, let's raise a sanitized glass to the progress of dental science, a testament to human ingenuity, and a reminder that even the most routine medical procedures were once horrifyingly brutal affairs. Remember, though, that even today's dental visit can still induce a mild sense of dread. That primal fear of invasive procedures has a long, gruesome, and oddly unmoving history. Pain, the very word, conjures a visceral response, a tightening in the chest, a flinch of the muscles. In the sterile, antiseptic world of modern dentistry, we're pampered with numbing agents, soothing music, and the reassuring presence of a professional. But rewind the clock several centuries, and the experience was considerably less pleasant. The medieval approach to dental pain was, to put it mildly, drastically different from our own. It wasn't just the lack of effective pain management, it was a fundamental difference in cultural attitudes towards pain itself. The concept of pain tolerance in the Middle Ages is a complex one. It wasn't simply that people were tougher, they lacked the tools to effectively alleviate it. Their lives were inherently more physically demanding, filled with manual labor, childbirth without modern pain relief, and the ever present threat of injury or illness. This constant exposure to physical hardship might have led to a certain desensitization, a higher threshold for what constituted unbearable pain. However, this doesn't negate the suffering, it merely contextualizes it. The absence of effective analgesia doesn't equal a lack of pain. It means the pain was experienced in its raw, unmitigated form. Imagine for a moment undergoing a tooth extraction without any anesthetic. The barbaric tools, crude pliers, sharp chisels, even red hot pokers in some accounts, would have been wielded with the precision of a blacksmith rather than the finesse of a modern dentist. The sheer force required to extract a stubborn tooth would have caused excruciating agony, made even worse by the lack of any form of sterile procedure. Infection was a constant threat, and the resulting sepsis could be far more deadly than the original dental problem. But beyond the sheer physical pain, there was a deeply ingrained cultural acceptance of suffering. The medieval worldview saw illness and pain as divine punishment, a test of faith, or perhaps a consequence of some personal transgression. This wasn't a passive acceptance, however. Suffering could be a means of penance, a way of earning God's favor, or even a demonstration of piety. The intensity of religious belief permeated every aspect of life, including the experience of pain. To endure pain stoically wasn't merely a matter of resilience, it was a demonstration of virtue. This belief system profoundly shaped how dental procedures were viewed. Undergoing a painful extraction wasn't merely a medical necessity, it was an act of faith, a suffering endured for the sake of health, or perhaps atonement for some imagined sin. Pain was, in a twisted way, a part of the treatment itself, a component within the wider spiritual framework of medieval life. Historical accounts, though fragmented and often unreliable, hint at this mindset. While written records rarely delve into the minutiae of the patient's subjective experience, they provide glimpses into the cultural context surrounding pain. For instance, we have accounts of individuals undergoing complex surgical procedures with minimal or no pain relief. This wasn't due to a lack of awareness. There were certainly ways to mitigate pain, as crude as they were. However, the religious and societal norms often discourage the use of anything that might be deemed unnatural or unholy. One might posit that the lack of an understanding of human anatomy also played a role. The rudimentary understanding of the nervous system meant that the true nature of pain was not comprehended. The absence of a detailed physiological framework prevented the development of sophisticated pain management techniques. The bad humors theory, for example, provided an explanation for illness, but it offered no effective method for addressing the pain associated with it. Medieval medical texts, while often baffling and contradictory, also hint at pain management techniques. The application of various poultices and herbal remedies was common, although their efficacy was questionable. Some herbs might have possessed mild analgesic properties, but their use was not based on a scientific understanding. Instead, they were part of a larger system of beliefs and practices that were passed down through generations. The sheer variety of these remedies highlights the lack of standardization and the highly variable nature of medieval medical practices. The contrast with modern pain management is stark. Today, the focus is on minimizing pain and ensuring patient comfort. Anesthesia is routinely used, allowing dental procedures to be performed with minimal discomfort. The advancements in pain management are a significant part of the broader revolution in medical science and technology, a testament to human ingenuity and our relentless pursuit of alleviating suffering. But while we benefit from the painless precision of modern dentistry, it's essential to remember the medieval reality. It's not merely a historical curiosity, it's a cautionary tale highlighting the importance of scientific advancement and the crucial role of empathy in medical care. It's a stark reminder that our modern comforts are the product of centuries of research, trial, error, and ultimately an ongoing commitment to improving patient care. The next time you sit in a dentist's chair, consider the stark contrast between the gentle hum of the drill and the agonizing shriek of a medieval tooth extraction. You might find yourself appreciating the advancements of modern dentistry even more. And while a slightly numb lip and the lingering taste of anesthetic might still cause a mild shudder, it's a far cry from the unimaginable pain and suffering of those who came before us. Consider the progress, and consider perhaps investing in a good mouthwash. The agonizing shriek of a medieval tooth extraction, echoing across centuries, wasn't merely an isolated incident of pain, it was a symptom of a wider societal problem. Poor dental hygiene and the complete lack of effective treatment had profound and far reaching consequences, impacting not just the individual's health, but the entire social fabric of medieval life. The throbbing ache wasn't just a physical torment, it was a significant impediment to daily life, a societal burden that permeated every aspect of medieval society. Imagine for a moment the daily struggle of someone suffering from a severe toothache. The simplest act of chewing became an ordeal, drastically limiting their dietary options. The medieval diet, already often lacking in essential nutrients, became further restricted. Hard bread, tough meats, and unprocessed vegetables, staples of the medieval diet, became impossible to consume, leading to malnutrition and a weakened immune system. This, in turn, increased susceptibility to other illnesses, creating a vicious cycle of poor health. The inability to properly masticate food meant less efficient nutrient absorption, leading to fatigue, weakness, and a decreased capacity for work. This had profound economic consequences, especially for those reliant on physical labor. A lost day of work due to a persistent toothache could mean the difference between sustenance and starvation, a devastating blow to a family already struggling to survive. The social consequences were equally significant. Chronic pain and bad breath, common companions of severe dental problems, would have made social interactions extremely difficult. The medieval world was a highly tactile society where close physical contact was commonplace. Conversations often involved a proximity we find uncomfortable today. Imagine the social isolation faced by someone with a severely infected mouth or debilitating toothache, unable to partake in normal social activities without causing discomfort to themselves and others. The stench of infected gums and decaying teeth could be socially isolating, leading to ostracization and marginalization. Romantic relationships might have been impossible, and the prospect of marriage, an essential social contract in medieval times, could be jeopardized by oral diseases. In a time where community was vital for survival, a debilitating toothache could have isolated an individual, leaving them vulnerable and alone. The economic impact of untreated dental diseases reached far beyond the individual. The loss of productivity due to illness placed a significant strain on the family unit, and in extreme cases, it could contribute to the destitution of entire families. The inability to perform manual labor, whether it was farming, carpentry, or other trades, meant lost income and potential starvation. The costs associated with even the rudimentary dental treatments of the time were significant, pricing much of the population out of any form of care. This created an inequality in access to dental health, with the wealthy possessing a slight advantage in obtaining some form of relief, albeit still crude and largely ineffective compared to the peasant population. The lack of public health initiatives meant that the burden of dental disease fell entirely on the individual. The social attitudes toward dental health were largely shaped by prevailing medical beliefs and religious superstitions. The medieval understanding of the human body was rudimentary, and dental disease was often attributed to supernatural causes or imbalances within the body's humors. This lack of understanding meant that treatment focused more on magical remedies and spiritual practices than on effective medical interventions. While some attempts at extraction did take place, the rudimentary tools and lack of anesthesia resulted in excruciating pain and the high risk of infection, potentially resulting in death. The very real possibility of death from a simple toothache reinforced the perception of dental issues as something to be feared and avoided rather than treated. Moreover, the social structures of the time did not prioritize oral hygiene. Lack of access to clean water, limited understanding of hygiene practices, and the prevalent belief that some level of suffering was unavoidable all contributed to widespread dental problems. The common practice of sharing utensils and food, even the simple act of brushing with crude materials such as twigs, may not have significantly improved the oral health of the general population. The wealthy could afford more elaborate remedies and perhaps even some form of rudimentary care. But for the majority of the population, access to any level of treatment remained extremely limited, perpetuating a cycle of suffering and social disadvantage. The impact on children was especially devastating. Untreated dental problems in children could lead to malnutrition, developmental delays, and long-term health issues. The loss of teeth in childhood, a frequent occurrence in medieval times, could impair their ability to chew food and obtain essential nutrients, affecting their growth and overall well-being. This would have profound implications throughout their life, limiting their opportunities for work and contributing to their ongoing susceptibility to disease. The absence of effective preventative measures meant that children were particularly vulnerable to the damaging effects of dental disease, creating a cycle of ill health that continued from generation to generation. The contrast with modern dentistry is, needless to say, astonishing. Today we enjoy the benefits of preventive care, sophisticated techniques, and readily available pain management. The focus has shifted from simply enduring pain to actively preventing and treating dental disease. This shift reflects a fundamental change in societal attitudes, where dental health is viewed as an essential aspect of overall well being, not just a matter of individual resilience. The public health initiatives, widespread access to dental care, and extensive research in oral hygiene have collectively contributed to a remarkable improvement in the oral health of populations worldwide. The medieval experience serves as a sobering reminder of the impact of untreated dental diseases. It wasn't just physical suffering, it was a significant social, economic, and cultural burden that affected individuals, families, and communities. The contrast with modern dentistry underscores the monumental progress made in oral health care and the ongoing importance of preventative measures and access to quality dental treatment. Perhaps, after contemplating the plight of our medieval predecessors, the next time you visit your dentist, you'll appreciate the benefits of modern dentistry far more, even if it means enduring that slightly unnerving taste of anesthetic. At least you won't be facing boiling oil. Small victories. Chapter 3. From Medieval Misery to Modern Marvels. The transition from the medieval era's rudimentary, often brutal dental practices to the comparatively sophisticated world of modern dentistry is a journey marked by leaps and bounds in understanding, technology, and thankfully, pain management. The dawn of modern dentistry wasn't a single eureka moment, but rather a gradual accumulation of discoveries and innovations that revolutionized the field. It began with a shift in thinking, a move away from the supernatural explanations and barbaric remedies that had dominated for centuries. One of the earliest and most significant milestones was the development of anesthesia. Before the 19th century, dental procedures were essentially acts of endurance, with patients forced to withstand excruciating pain. While some rudimentary attempts at pain relief existed, involving alcohol or opium, these were far from reliable or effective. The introduction of nitrous oxide, laughing gas, by Horace Wells in 1844 marked a pivotal moment. While initially met with skepticism and even ridicule, its demonstrable ability to numb pain during extractions rapidly changed the landscape. This allowed dentists to perform more complex procedures, significantly reducing the suffering of patients. The subsequent introduction of ether and chloroform further refined anesthetic techniques, paving the way for more intricate and less agonizing procedures. Imagine for a moment the sheer terror of a medieval extraction, a terrifying spectacle involving crude tools and sheer willpower, compared to the relative calm of a modern procedure, eased by the gentle hush of anesthesias. The difference is simply staggering, a testament to the incredible progress made in patient comfort. Concurrently, the development of sterilization techniques was equally transformative. In the medieval era, the risk of infection following a dental procedure was incredibly high, often leading to complications that could be fatal. The rudimentary tools used, often cleaned with little more than a wipe, were veritable breeding grounds for bacteria. The introduction of Louis Pasteur's germ theory of disease in the late 19th century revolutionized surgical practices, including dentistry. The understanding that microscopic organisms caused infection led to the adoption of sterilization methods, such as boiling instruments and using antiseptic solutions. This dramatically reduced the incidence of post-operative infections, transforming dentistry from a frequently deadly undertaking to a safer, more reliable procedure. The simple act of sterilizing instruments, a commonplace practice today, represents a profound advancement in patient safety, a stark contrast to the medieval reality where infection was a near certainty. The invention of the dental drill also played a crucial role in the development of modern dentistry. Prior to the advent of the dental drill, cavities were often treated with rudimentary tools, a process that was both time consuming and agonizing. The first practical dental drill, powered by a foot pedal, appeared in the 1870s, significantly accelerating the process of cavity preparation. The development of increasingly sophisticated drills, powered by electricity and later by air, further refined the procedure, making it faster, more precise, and less invasive. Today, dentists possess a range of high-speed, low-vibration drills that allow for delicate and efficient removal of decayed tooth structure, a far cry from the crude tools of the medieval period. X-rays represent another crucial advancement. Before their discovery in 1895, dentists relied on visual inspection and guesswork to diagnose underlying dental problems. The ability to see through the tissues and bone to identify hidden cavities, impacted teeth, and other abnormalities revolutionized diagnosis. Suddenly, dentists could identify and treat problems before they progressed to more severe stages, dramatically improving treatment outcomes. The impact of X-rays on preventative dentistry cannot be overstated, offering a level of diagnostic precision previously unimaginable. Imagine the limitations faced by medieval dentists, forced to rely on the patient's often subjective account of pain, compared to the clear and detailed images provided by modern X-ray technology. The development of dental materials also witnessed a remarkable transformation. In the medieval period, materials for filling cavities were rudimentary and often ineffective, relying on materials like beeswax or even lead. The introduction of amalgam, a mixture of mercury and other metals, in the 19th century offered a more durable and effective filling material. Subsequently, the development of porcelain, gold, and composite resin fillings further enhanced restorative dentistry, providing aesthetically pleasing and durable solutions for damaged teeth. The continuous improvement in materials and techniques reflects a commitment to both functionality and aesthetics, a stark contrast to the purely functional and often unsightly solutions of the past. The evolution of preventative dentistry marks another significant advance. The medieval understanding of oral hygiene was limited, and preventative measures were practically non-existent. The modern emphasis on preventive care, including regular brushing and flossing, professional cleaning, and fluoride treatments, has dramatically reduced the incidence of dental disease. Public health initiatives promoting oral hygiene, have contributed to a significant improvement in the overall oral health of populations worldwide. The focus has shifted from simply reacting to existing problems to actively preventing them, a testament to the advancement of both dental science and public health awareness. The advancements in orthodontics, the branch of dentistry dealing with correcting misaligned teeth, also deserve mention. While some rudimentary attempts to straighten teeth existed in earlier eras, the development of modern orthodontic techniques, including the use of braces and other appliances, has revolutionized the field. Modern orthodontics not only improves the aesthetics of a smile, but also enhances dental function, bite alignment, and overall oral health. The ability to correct misaligned teeth, a significant challenge in medieval times, represents a substantial improvement in both cosmetic and functional aspects of dental care. The field of periodontics, focusing on the gums and supporting tissues of the teeth, has also experienced significant advancements. The understanding of the causes of gum disease, along with the development of techniques for its prevention and treatment, has considerably improved the overall health and longevity of teeth. Modern periodontics emphasizes prevention through meticulous oral hygiene, as well as advanced techniques for treating gum disease that once were virtually untreatable. Beyond the technical innovations, the change in societal attitudes towards dental health is equally noteworthy. In medieval times, dental problems were often seen as unavoidable or even divinely ordained. Today, dental health is viewed as an integral part of overall well-being, and access to dental care is increasingly recognized as a fundamental right. This shift in societal attitude, coupled with technological advancements, has led to a radical transformations in the field, resulting in a drastic reduction in dental disease and a dramatic improvement in quality of life for millions. From the agonizing shriek of a medieval extraction to the relatively painless experience of a modern filling, the journey of dentistry is a testament to human ingenuity and the relentless pursuit of better health. While the occasional dental visit might still provoke a certain amount of apprehension, the advancements made are undeniably remarkable, offering a stark contrast to the barbaric and often deadly practices of our medieval predecessors. So the next time you find yourself in the dentist's chair, spare a thought for those who endured far worse, and appreciate the relatively painless and sterile marvels of modern dentistry. Let's delve into the stark and often hilariously gruesome contrast between medieval and modern dental care. Imagine, if you will, the medieval dental surgeon, likely a blacksmith moonlighting as a tooth puller, wielding rusty pliers the size of a small crab. His operating theater might be a dimly lit stable, the air thick with the scent of unwashed bodies and something vaguely equine. The patient, bracing themselves for agony, would be offered perhaps a swig of diluted wine, not for anesthesia, mind you, but to dull the senses slightly. Then the extraction commenced, a violent tug of war between man and molar, often resulting in broken teeth, fractured jawbones, and copious amounts of blood. Infection, of course, was practically guaranteed, a grim lottery with death as a likely prize. Now, picture the modern dental setting, a gleaming, sterile office, the hum of sophisticated equipment, a soothing counterpoint to the gentle murmur of the dentist. A comfortable chair reclines, offering a sanctuary from the outside world. The procedure, whether a simple cleaning or a complex implant, proceeds under the watchful eye of a professional skilled in the intricacies of modern dentistry. Anesthesia ensures a painless experience, and sterilization protocols minimize the risk of infection to near zero. The contrast is so profound, so utterly transformative, that it's almost comical if it weren't for the chilling reality of the medieval experience. Consider the simple cavity. In the Middle Ages, a cavity, if noticed at all, was often treated with a mixture of dubious ingredients, beeswax, for instance, or perhaps something even more pungent, like boiled oil and vinegar, a recipe guaranteed to add insult to injury. Those fillings offered minimal protection, often exacerbating the problem and leading to further decay and infection. The modern approach, on the other hand, involves a precise assessment of the damage, the careful removal of decayed tooth structure using a high-speed drill, a far cry from the primitive tools of yore, and the placement of a durable, aesthetically pleasing filling using a variety of advanced materials. The difference is night and day, a testament to the relentless pursuit of dental perfection. Let's move on to toothaches, a common malady in any era. In medieval times, a toothache was a torment of epic proportions, often treated with equally epic remedies. These included charms, incantations, and amulets supposedly blessed by saints, the efficacy of which naturally depended entirely on the saint's mood. If these failed, more drastic measures were employed, applying leeches to the afflicted area, burning the gum with a hot iron, or simply knocking out the offending tooth with a hammer. The modern approach is, well, infinitely more civilized. Pain relievers effectively manage the pain, and diagnosis often reveals the underlying cause, an abscess perhaps, or a severely decayed tooth. Treatment is quick, effective, and most importantly, humane. The field of orthodontics provides another compelling example of the vast chasm separating medieval and modern dentistry. In the Middle Ages, if a child had crooked teeth, the solution was largely cosmetic, perhaps filing them down to create a semblance of uniformity, a practice that surely did little to improve their long-term oral health. Modern orthodontics, however, employs sophisticated techniques to correct malocclusion, using braces and other appliances to guide teeth into their proper alignment. The results are not only aesthetically pleasing, but also contribute significantly to improved bite function and overall oral health. The transition from rough filing to precise orthodontic correction is a remarkable journey indeed. And let's not forget the revolutionary impact of X-rays. Before their discovery, diagnosing dental problems was a guessing game at best. The introduction of X-ray technology allowed dentists to see beneath the surface, identifying hidden cavities, abscesses, and other issues that would have otherwise remained undetected. This preventative capability has dramatically improved the outcomes of dental treatment. Imagine a medieval dentist, armed with nothing but a probe and his keen eye, trying to pinpoint the source of a persistent toothache compared to a modern dentist equipped with high-resolution X-rays, revealing the precise location and nature of the problem. The difference is, quite simply, the difference between educated intervention and blind stabs in the dark. Furthermore, the concept of preventative dentistry was virtually non existent in the Middle Ages. Oral hygiene practices were rudimentary at best, and the understanding of the connection between oral health and overall well being was non existent. Modern dentistry, in stark contrast, places a strong emphasis on preventative care. Regular brushing, flossing, professional cleaning, and fluoride treatments have dramatically reduced the incidence of dental disease in developed nations. Public health initiatives promoting oral hygiene have further bolstered these efforts, creating a healthier and happier population with fewer agonizing toothaches. This proactive approach, so common today, is a world away from the reactive, often barbaric, medieval approach. The advances in materials are also striking. The medieval fillings were nothing short of a joke, consisting of materials like beeswax, lead, or even gold, if the patient was exceptionally wealthy. These materials were inherently unstable and offered little protection against further decay. Modern dentistry boasts a diverse range of durable, aesthetically pleasing materials: amalgam, porcelain, gold, composite resin, allowing dentists to create fillings that are both functional and attractive. This focus on both form and function represents a significant advancement over the purely functional and often unsightly materials of the past. The societal shift in attitude is equally noteworthy. In medieval times, dental problems were often accepted as a part of life, an unavoidable consequence of poor nutrition and a lack of understanding of oral hygiene. In some societies, tooth loss was considered a rite of passage or a symbol of aging. Today, access to dental care is seen as a fundamental right. This shift in perspective, combined with advances in technology and public health initiatives, has resulted in a significant improvement in the overall oral health of populations worldwide. The change is nothing short of a revolution, transforming dentistry from a desperate, often futile battle against pain and infection into a sophisticated field dedicated to preventing dental disease and promoting oral well-being. In conclusion, the journey from medieval misery to modern marvels in dentistry is a testament to the relentless pursuit of knowledge, innovation, and pain relief. The stark contrast between the barbaric practices of the past and the sophisticated treatments of today is a compelling narrative, a darkly humorous one at times, but ultimately a deeply gratifying account of human ingenuity and perseverance. So the next time you hear the whir of a dental drill, remember those who endured far worse and appreciate the remarkably painless and sterile miracle of modern dental care. Indeed, the progress is so immense that it almost makes one wish for a time machine, not to relive the medieval dental experience, of course, but simply to share the sheer bewilderment on the face of a medieval dentist upon witnessing the marvels of contemporary dentistry. The sterile gleam of a modern dental surgery, with its humming equipment and reassuringly antiseptic smell, is a far cry from the dimly lit stable or grimy apothecary where medieval dental treatment took place. Yet, despite the vast chasm separating those eras, echoes of the past still resonate in our modern experience of dentistry. The lingering anxieties many people feel about dental visits, a pervasive dental phobia, is a testament to this enduring legacy. While a modern root canal, even with the benefits of anesthesia, is hardly a picnic, it pales in comparison to the medieval experience. Imagine the sheer terror of facing a tooth extraction with nothing but a rusty pair of pliers and a swig of watered down wine to numb the agony. The resulting pain, the potential for infection, even death, would have been truly terrifying. The very notion of submitting to such an ordeal would have instilled a primal fear that, while less visceral today, still subtly informs our anxieties. Consider the placebo effect, so powerfully demonstrated in historical and even modern medical contexts. Medieval patients, clinging to faith and superstition, might have felt some measure of relief from a treatment that was, in reality, utterly ineffective or even harmful. The application of leeches, the muttering of incantations, the wearing of amulets, these acts, while devoid of any genuine curative power, held the potential to soothe anxiety and provide a sense of control in the face of overwhelming pain. It's fascinating to consider how the power of suggestion, so prevalent in medieval practices, still plays a role in our modern healthcare system, even if it is now tempered by scientific understanding and evidence based medicine. A reassuring dentist, a calming atmosphere, even the simple act of receiving a prescription for pain medication can exert a significant placebo effect, easing anxieties and promoting a sense of well being. The cultural context of dentistry also plays a crucial role in shaping our attitudes. In the Middle Ages, oral health was often neglected, with tooth loss considered a natural part of aging or even a badge of honor. This acceptance of suffering, this resignation to the inevitable, contrasted sharply with our modern obsession with perfect teeth. The gleaming white smile, the symbol of youth, health, and success in contemporary society, places an enormous pressure on individuals to maintain flawless dental hygiene. This pressure, coupled with the inherent anxieties associated with any medical procedure, can lead to a high level of dental phobia. The rise of social media, with its relentless portrayal of flawless teeth, only exacerbates the problem. We are constantly bombarded with images of perfect smiles, creating an unrealistic standard of beauty and contributing to feelings of inadequacy and anxiety among those who do not meet this idealized image. The focus on aesthetics, while understandable given our modern emphasis on appearance, can overshadow the importance of overall oral health. This emphasis on aesthetics, a relatively recent development, reflects a shift from the acceptance of tooth loss in earlier eras to the contemporary pressure for a perfect movie star smile. The anxieties associated with not meeting this standard are a far cry from the resigned acceptance of tooth loss in earlier times. Furthermore, the very vocabulary surrounding dentistry contributes to our anxieties. Terms like root canal, extraction, and even filling evoke a sense of invasion, pain, and potential damage. This negative terminology, ingrained in our cultural consciousness, reinforces the negative associations we have with dental procedures. While the actual procedures are far safer and less painful than their medieval counterparts, the language we use to describe them can still trigger a sense of dread and apprehension. Consider the difference between the medieval description of tooth drawing and the modern, almost clinical description of surgical extraction. The latter, despite its precision, can feel far more intimidating. Moreover, The economic aspect of dental care influences our attitudes. The high cost of dental procedures can exacerbate existing anxieties, adding a layer of financial stress to an already stressful situation. For many, the fear of dental bills is as significant as the fear of the procedures themselves. This is a sharp contrast to medieval times, where access to dental care was generally less regulated and often depended on the patient's social standing and the skills of a local blacksmith or barber surgeon rather than cost. However, even then, the cost of potential infection and long term disability could be devastating. The psychological impact of dental anxiety should not be underestimated. The avoidance of dental care due to fear can lead to significantly worse oral health problems in the long run, creating a vicious cycle of anxiety and neglect. This avoidance behavior, while understandable, is detrimental to overall well being. The connection between mental and physical health is increasingly recognized, and dental anxiety is a clear example of how emotional factors can directly impact physical health outcomes. The inability to access proper dental care due to fear can have long term consequences that far outweigh the immediate anxieties of a dental visit. The difference between medieval and modern dentistry is not merely a matter of technology and technique, it's a profound shift in our understanding of the body, of pain, and of the importance of preventative care. While the barbaric practices of the past might seem comical in retrospect, the anxieties that remain in our modern experience remind us of the enduring power of fear and the subtle ways in which the echoes of the past shape our present. The next time you brace yourself for a dental appointment, take a moment to appreciate the incredible advancements made in dentistry and acknowledge the vestiges of medieval anxieties that still linger, serving as a reminder of how far we have come and perhaps how much further we might still go in alleviating dental fears. The journey from the crude implements and brutal techniques of medieval times to the sophisticated technology and advanced procedures of today is truly a testament to human ingenuity, and even offers a darkly humorous perspective on the evolution of pain management. The lingering fear, however, serves as a potent reminder that even the most advanced techniques can't fully erase the deeply ingrained anxieties related to dental procedures. The stark contrast between the medieval approach to dentistry and our modern practices offers invaluable lessons, extending far beyond the mere evolution of tools and techniques. It illuminates the crucial role of hygiene, preventative care, and the ongoing necessity for innovation in all aspects of healthcare. The gruesome reality of medieval dentistry, with its reliance on rudimentary tools and a profound lack of understanding of infection control, serves as a stark warning against complacency. The casual acceptance of pain and tooth loss, common in medieval society, underscores the critical shift in societal attitudes towards health and well being. We now understand that oral health is not merely an aesthetic concern, but an integral part of overall health, profoundly impacting systemic well being. Consider the consequences of neglecting oral hygiene in the Middle Ages. Without the benefit of modern understanding of bacteria and infection, even a minor dental procedure could easily become fatal. Simple extractions, performed with crude instruments in unsanitary conditions, often led to infections that spread rapidly throughout the body, resulting in sepsis, abscesses, and ultimately death. The lack of knowledge about infection control, coupled with the limited availability of effective pain relief, rendered even the most basic dental intervention a high stakes gamble. This contrasts sharply with the modern emphasis on preventative care, where regular checkups, professional cleaning, and early intervention significantly reduce the risk of serious complications. The widespread availability of anesthesia, antibiotics, and advanced sterilization techniques has transformed dental procedures from potentially lethal ordeals into relatively safe and predictable events. The evolution of dental technology itself is a testament to human ingenuity. From the crude pliers and chisels of medieval times to the sophisticated lasers, microscopes, and imaging technology of today, the progress is nothing short of remarkable. The development of materials science has also played a crucial role, with the creation of biocompatible materials for fillings, crowns, and implants, drastically improving the longevity and effectiveness of restorative procedures. The understanding of dental anatomy and physiology has advanced significantly, allowing for more precise diagnosis and treatment. This enhanced understanding enables dentists to address dental problems with greater accuracy and less invasiveness, minimizing discomfort and maximizing long-term success. The development of specialized dental subdisciplines such as orthodontics, periodontics, and endodontics reflects a sophisticated understanding of the complexity of oral health and the need for specialized expertise. Each subdiscipline represents years of research, clinical trials, and collaborative advancements in the field. Furthermore, the shift towards preventative care represents a fundamental change in approach. In the Middle Ages, dental care, if it could even be called that, was largely reactive. People sought treatment only when pain became unbearable, often resulting in far more extensive and invasive procedures. Modern dentistry emphasizes prevention, promoting regular brushing, flossing, and professional cleanings to maintain oral health and prevent problems before they arise. This proactive approach not only reduces the need for extensive treatments, but also improves overall quality of life, highlighting the importance of ongoing investment in preventative strategies. Public health initiatives focused on education, access to care, and fluoridation have significantly contributed to the improvement of overall oral health in many populations. These preventative measures, coupled with technological advancements, have radically improved dental outcomes and broadened access to quality dental care. The advancements in pain management alone warrant significant attention. The medieval patient endured excruciating pain with only limited and often ineffective palliative measures. The discovery and refinement of anesthesia has revolutionized the dental experience, transforming procedures that were once terrifying into tolerable and often painless events. The development of local anesthetics, combined with advanced techniques such as sedation and general anesthesia, enables patients to undergo complex procedures with minimal discomfort. The development of pain management techniques has not only improved the patient experience, but it has also allowed for more complex and extensive procedures to be performed safely and effectively. This progress extends to the management of post-operative pain, with advanced analgesics and pain management protocols, minimizing discomfort and speeding up recovery time. The legacy of medieval dentistry, however, extends beyond its barbaric practices. The anxieties associated with dental procedures, deeply ingrained in our collective consciousness, persist even today. The very terminology surrounding dental procedures, root canal, extraction, drilling, evokes images of pain, discomfort, and invasion, despite the significant advancements in pain management and minimally invasive techniques. This highlights the importance of open communication and patient education in alleviating dental anxiety. A modern dentist's role extends beyond technical expertise. They must also act as educators and communicators, providing patients with a clear understanding of procedures, expectations, and pain management options. By fostering trust and understanding, dentists can effectively manage patients' anxieties and create a more positive experience. The psychological impact of dental anxiety cannot be overstated. The fear of pain, the cost of treatment, and the perceived invasiveness of procedures can lead to avoidance of necessary care, resulting in more severe oral health problems down the line. This is a vicious cycle that reinforces both the physical and psychological toll of dental anxiety. Addressing this requires a multifaceted approach, including improved patient education, desensitization techniques, and increased access to affordable and comprehensive dental care. The development of anxiety-reducing techniques, such as guided imagery and relaxation exercises, can also prove beneficial for patients experiencing significant dental anxiety. In conclusion, the journey from the medieval misery of rudimentary dental practices to the modern marvels of advanced dentistry serves as a potent illustration of progress in healthcare. The lessons learned from the past underscore the critical importance of hygiene, preventative care, ongoing research, technological innovation, and the recognition of the significant psychological factors that influence patient experiences. While the lingering anxieties associated with dental visits remain a testament to the enduring power of fear, the remarkable advancements in dentistry offer hope for a future where access to quality, affordable, and anxiety-free dental care is a reality for everyone. The continuing evolution of dentistry, driven by a commitment to innovation and patient well-being, represents a powerful commitment to improving health and quality of life. The historical perspective allows us to not only appreciate the vast strides we've made, but also to recognize the ongoing challenges in achieving truly accessible and anxiety-free dental care for all. The dark humor of the medieval approach serves as a stark reminder of how far we've come and a driving force for continued progress in the field. The sheer horror of medieval dental practices, the crude instruments, the agonizing pain, the horrifyingly high risk of infection might seem like a niche subject, a morbid curiosity for a select few. Yet, the enduring fascination with this grim chapter of medical history speaks volumes about our complex relationship with the macabre, with pain, and with the very notion of progress. Why are we so drawn to stories of medieval misery? Why do we willingly delve into accounts of suffering, of barbaric treatments, and of mortality rates that would make even a seasoned battlefield surgeon blanch? Part of the allure lies in the stark contrast between then And now, the antiseptic world of modern dentistry, with its gleaming equipment, advanced anesthetics, and emphasis on preventative care, stands in stark relief against the squalor of medieval practices. This juxtaposition isn't just about appreciating technological advancement, it's about confronting the very real possibility that without the knowledge and tools we have today, even a simple toothache could be a death sentence. This stark reality forces us to contemplate our own vulnerability, our own dependence on the complex systems of modern healthcare. It's a sobering reminder of how fragile life can be, even in an era of medical marvels. Furthermore, the narratives surrounding medieval dentistry often possess a darkly comedic element. The absurd cures, boiling oil, anyone? The unwavering belief in the healing power of a full moon, the sheer lack of understanding of basic hygiene. These aspects evoke a macabre humor, a twisted sense of irony. It's the kind of humor that arises from the juxtaposition of the serious and the absurd, the horrific and the ridiculous. We laugh, perhaps nervously, because it's easier than confronting the full extent of the suffering involved. This darkly comic element makes the history palatable, making it easier to engage with a subject that on the surface might be too gruesome to bear. But the fascination with the macabre runs deeper than simple schadenfreude or morbid curiosity. Our interest in the gruesome aspects of history, including the dark side of medicine, is intricately linked to our fundamental human need to make sense of the world, to understand our place within it. By exploring the past, even the most horrific parts of it, we gain a deeper understanding of our own journey, our own evolution. The progression from medieval misery to modern marvels isn't just a medical narrative, it's a story of human resilience, of intellectual and technological advancement, and of our ongoing struggle to improve the human condition. The medieval approach to dentistry, while horrifying, also reveals a great deal about the societal values and beliefs of the time. Pain was simply accepted as an inevitable part of life, a consequence of living in a world without modern anesthesia or effective pain management. The emphasis on faith-based remedies reflects a world where science and medicine were inextricably intertwined with religious beliefs and practices. Studying these practices allows us to delve into the societal structures, beliefs, and limitations of a different era. Moreover, the enduring fascination with the macabre is often a reflection of our own anxieties and fears. The medieval dental experience, with its potential for excruciating pain and fatal infections, serves as a potent metaphor for the uncertainties and vulnerabilities we all face in life. Confronting these fears, exploring the darkest aspects of history, can be a cathartic experience, a way of grappling with our own mortality and our own limitations. It's an acknowledgement of our own vulnerability, a recognition that progress, while significant, is not always a smooth, linear trajectory. The stories of medieval dentistry, however horrifying, provide a stark contrast to the modern world. They allow us to appreciate the advancements made in pain management, infection control, and dental technology. The modern understanding of oral hygiene and its impact on overall health is a stark contrast to the medieval world, where even a simple toothache could lead to sepsis and death. The advancements in dental materials, techniques, and preventative care have made modern dentistry a far cry from the medieval experience. The narrative of medieval dentistry isn't simply a historical account, it's a cautionary tale. It underscores the importance of hygiene, preventative care, and the ongoing need for research and innovation in healthcare. It's a reminder that even in our technologically advanced world, complacency can have devastating consequences. The very idea that something as seemingly minor as a toothache could have once been a life threatening event forces us to value the advances we have made. It makes us appreciate the seemingly mundane aspects of modern dental care: the sterile environment, the anesthetic, the antibiotics, recognizing their importance in preventing suffering and saving lives. Finally, the fascination with medieval dentistry and with the macabre in general speaks to our innate curiosity about the human experience in all its forms, both beautiful and terrifying. We are drawn to stories that challenge our perceptions, that confront us with the extremes of human suffering and resilience. The grotesque and the gruesome serve as a counterpoint to the everyday, offering a glimpse into the darker side of history and reminding us of the fragility of life. It's a reminder that progress, though remarkable, is an ongoing journey, and that the constant pursuit of knowledge and innovation remains a vital element in ensuring a healthier and safer future. The laughter, the horror, the fascination, all are part of our complex engagement with a past that both repels and compels us. It is this complex interplay of emotions that keeps the stories of medieval dentistry and the broader fascination with the macabre so enduringly captivating. The very act of exploring these darker aspects of history serves as a vital reminder of the immense progress made, emphasizing the continued need for vigilance and innovation in the pursuit of improved healthcare for all.